If you were to ask me what was my favorite version of TMNT growing up, I'd say the 2012 TMNT from Nickelodeon. I loved this version of the characters, the fights, the comedy, the sprinkles of Easter eggs from other TMNT versions, and I love how this version wasn't afraid of showing scary imagery, especially in a Nickelodeon cartoon. However, although I do have nostalgia for 2012's version, I have to admit that this isn't the perfect series. In fact, there are some downright awful writing choices that still bother me till this day, and one of them is the downfall of Karai. Now, I really liked Karai in the first few seasons. I thought she was a pretty badass character who had an interesting dynamic between the Shredder, Splinter, and the Turtles. I liked watching her manipulate the guys in one episode, but then come to their aid in other episodes. But as the series continued, Karai started to regress from being a threat to the Turtles to someone who can't take on goons. She went from being a respected ninja to a damsel in distress for the boys to save. It got to the point where I no longer took her seriously when she was supposedly a threat again, and by the end of the series, I thought she became a downgrade of what she used to be, which I want to discuss. Now I'm going to leave out her relationship with Leonardo, as that's honestly a can of worms all by itself, and I want to do a future shipping video dedicated to the ships. So for this video, it's all focused on Karai. Karai first appeared in episode 14 of season 1, where she mysteriously appears while Leo was separated from the group, managing to both impress and dominate him in a fight. Karai throughout season 1 was presented as a skilled kunoichi who was a manipulative foe for the Turtles, especially for Leonardo. They had a Batman and Catwoman type of relationship where Leo sees the good in her, while Karai will exploit this weakness. However, there was a time when she did help the Turtles out until they betrayed her, leading her to stay with the Shredder and marking her as a villain for the rest of seasons 1 and 2. Now, throughout her time as a villain, she was seen as a serious threat, one that shouldn't be messed with, and the gang would have to rely on outwitting her to beat her. Yeah, she did start gaining a losing streak, especially in season 2, but that's normal for villains, especially goons. She still had a rebellious, intelligent, arrogant, yet caring personality, so she could switch sides whenever she pleases, creating some great character interactions with the gang. But then we get to the revelation of her true parents. During the season 1 finale, it was revealed that Karai was actually Splinter's real biological daughter, Himato Miwa, who was adopted by the Shredder after he murdered her mother, Tang Shin, and left Splinter to die. Learning this, Karai betrays Tiger Claw, leading to her capture and getting imprisoned. Then, 2 episodes later, the guys save her and have her reunite with Splinter. Oh cool, so are we going to have a few episodes of Karai fighting alongside the Turtles against the Foot Clan? Oh. Yeah, so in the same episode, Karai almost immediately goes back to get revenge on the Shredder, only for her to get recaptured, be used as bait, and gets mutated into a snake. I wouldn't say this moment is when Karai's character started to decline, but I'd say the seeds were starting to get planted. Now I want to be clear, I am not one of those fans that started sending death threats to the creators because they turned Karai into a mutant. I was actually really intrigued with this direction. Karai appeared more like a mindless animal compared to the other mutants, while also having a unique transformation of reforming back to her human form. Okay, I'm a sucker for the monster within arcs. What are our heroes going to do? Oh. Yeah, after Karai gets mutated, she disappears for the rest of the season. She reappears to save Splinter during season 2's finale, but she doesn't reappear until season 3, episode 10, where she is being hunted by both the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady for 2 episodes. Speaking of which, as stated before, Karai gets hunted by both the Foot Clan and the Turtles once they return to New York. She does get captured by Bebop and Rocksteady 2 times in this small arc, but to be fair, these episodes did highlight the tragedy of her situation more than focusing on her being kidnapped. Karai goes back and forth of being a venomous snake or a scared girl aware that she's losing her humanity. By the end of the arc, it's revealed that the retro mutagen doesn't affect her, dooming her to be a snake forever. Oh, what a tragic end to a tragic character! Oh. Yeah, like I said before, Karai gets kidnapped back to the Foot Clan, where I kid you not, she disappears for 7 episodes. During that time, Baxter Stockman somehow cures her, only for him to immediately insert a mind control worm in her, making her work for the Foot Clan again. Okay, this is where Karai's character started to fall off. First, how the hell did Stockman cure her? Donnie said there was no cure, and he's shown to be smarter than Stockman. Couldn't there have been at least one episode where Stockman figured out the cure, or at least stated at the beginning of an episode that he found a cure? Second, this erases her tragic monster within story. Because she's just magically cured, we are left out of the development of her regaining her sanity and her accepting her new form. Third, Karai just became a good guy just for her to become a villain again? Are you kidding me? I usually love when good guys become villains for a while, whether it's because of blackmail, brainwash, or for tragic reasons, even if it's for an episode. But I was not feeling this. You know why? Because Karai never had a chance to be a hero. The Turtles try to convince her for the first half of season 2 she was actually Splinter's daughter, and then the other half she was being imprisoned, then mutated. Then she was a mindless snake for 3 episodes, just for her to be a mind-controlled foot soldier. This feels like a step back for Karai. But maybe they can make this work as long as she's a good villain. What do you got, TMNT 2012? Okay, good so far. What else? Okay, a bit repetitive, but what else will she do? Oh! Yeah, you saw correctly. They made Karai return as a villain for 2 episodes just for her to go missing again! Didn't we just go through this the last season? And just like last season, Karai disappears until episode 15 in season 4, with a total of 18 episodes without her. What is going on? Why is she constantly being written out of the show? Why do you guys need her to constantly disappear? Oh! This is the final nail in the coffin for Karai's character. Her trying to rebuild the Foot Clan. And no, it's not because she became the Shredder. It's not because she never really joined the Turtles. And it's not because she became an anti-hero. In fact, good for her that she wanted to do her own thing. It's because for this point on, Karai officially completes her transformation of becoming a dumbass in distress. For those new to the term, let me give you a brief summary. Dumbasses in distress are worse than the average damsels in distress because although these characters are capable of defending themselves and even brag how they are such badasses, they rush into battle, which leads them to one-shots, kidnappings, or even worse, they put others in danger. And yet they have the absolute nerve to be ungrateful when they get rescued, even if they were the ones who started the fight. But because they are brain dead, they continue to brag about being better than everyone, whine that they should be taken more seriously, and continue to repeat the cycle, which always makes me bang my head against the wall in frustration. And boy, are we stuck in this cycle. In fact, from here on out, in every episode Karai appears in, she follows this pattern. Yeah, I would return that helmet if I were you, Karai. I don't think you're ready for that. So you may be wondering, does Karai get better? Yeah, so Karai never gets better. She never gets revenge on the Shredder, nor does it ever feel like she earned her title as the new leader of the Foot Clan. She never tries to recruit her former allies from the original Foot Clan either. They despise her and are loyal to the Shredder. Speaking of which, with all the horrible things that Shredder has done to her, from kidnapping her as a baby, filling her head with lies about her real family, being responsible for mutating her, mind-controlling her, and technically killing her when he allowed the Earth to be destroyed by the Triceratons, Karai never gets any resolution. She gets hospitalized after the Shredder goes after her, and it's the Turtles who get revenge for her. What the fuck? I can't even fathom the level of disrespect Karai had gone through. And what's worse is that Karai had so much potential, not just as a fighter, but as a character. Karai started off the series as an equal to the Turtles, a fierce Kunoichi that April also strived to be. Yes, she had her defeats, but she was a villain. It's to be expected. But as the show went on, not only did she start getting beaten and captured too much, but she couldn't even take on goons, even with help from Shinigami. And it's funny because they could have had a great solution to that problem when she became a mutant. This could have been it. This could have been the way to boost her power level back to being a major threat. As the show puts it, there's no other mutant like Karai, so go all out with the idea. Instead of her being a dumbass in distress, make her a menace to society. Have her cause trouble for the Shredder. Have her side of the Foot Clan be a force to be reckoned with. Have her get her sweet revenge on the Shredder, or at least have her be a part of the finale. There's so much focus between Splinter and Shredder's tragic, toxic relationship throughout the series, while Karai and Shredder's relationship is supposed to mirror them. Yet Splinter and Shredder got a resolution to it, although tragic, but Karai and Shredder didn't get one. Shredder just beat her up and she's written out of the finale for the boys to avenge her.
Wait a minute! The Turtles had to be the ones to stop the Shredder because they're the main characters!
That's true, but that still doesn't erase the fact that Karai didn't get any closure. Okay, so if the show didn't want Karai to defeat the Shredder, or even knew she was going to be written out of the finale, she still deserves to have some form of closure. Maybe she can learn to let go of her revenge. Throughout Season 4, she could slowly start to realize the cycle of anger the generations before her have been stuck in, and decide to put an end to it. She'd never forgive the Shredder, never forget the pain he caused her, but she'll never forget what happens when you allow hate to control your life after watching the Shredder destroy himself for it. She puts a stop to the cycle, mirroring what Splinter went through as well. Speaking of which, although Splinter is Karai's real father, and Karai is furious for the Shredder lying to her about it, Karai never really does anything to spend time with Splinter. She only gets to be a family with him for one episode, but then turns into a snake almost immediately after. Then when she's cured and free from brainwash, she focuses all her attention on rebuilding the Foot Clan and getting her revenge that she just ignores Splinter. She does love him, but these two barely have a relationship with each other. This also could have worked for her role in the finale. When Splinter is killed, she could have been full of regret with not taking advantage of the time she could have spent with her dad. That she took him for granted. That her need for revenge ultimately led to her never having the chance to build a true relationship. The guys get to have their revenge for their dad, but not Karai? Researching this video, I found that Karai was in a total of 39 episodes out of 124 episodes. 9 of them are cameos, 9 of them when she's an actual threatening villain, and the rest of them she's being either hunted down, being a prisoner, being mind-controlled, or just being a dumbass in distress. Talk about wasted potential. She was such a good character just to be relegated as Leo's damsel in distress for him to save and avenge. It seemed like the writers didn't really know what to do with her, as she kept disappearing only to appear in the middle of the next season. And even when she did have an arc, like rebuilding the Foot Clan, she still needed to be saved at the end of the day. Again, I never felt like she was ready to be the leader of the Foot. What happened to her? Well, I couldn't really find any interviews nor sources of the matter, so this is more of a theory than actual fact. I think they had Karai's arc as an afterthought. I I think they envisioned her as a character to support another character's conflict, in this case, Splinter and the Shredder. But they didn't really think of fleshing her out more than that. I think they were more focused on how Karai would affect the Turtles, Splinter, or Shredder, that once it was time to give her her own arc, they still had to make her a damsel so it could make the Turtles the hero. Like my frenemy from before exclaimed, the Turtles were the main characters, so they had to be the ones to defeat the Shredder. We saw what happened in Bay's version of what happens when someone else gets the final blow. So I think the writers knew they had to keep the Turtles in the spotlight for the final battle between the Shredder. That's my theory. I think they envisioned Karai as more as an asset to Splinter and Shredder's rivalry than having her as her own character, which is a shame. There are other shows that still utilize their side characters in the finale. For example, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Although Aang and Ozai's fight was a one-on-one battle, the other characters had their own unique battles or conflicts to overcome. They had a purpose in the final battle, while also still allowing Aang to have his spotlight moment. This could have happened here too if the writers remembered to keep Karai as the competent fighter she was in the beginning of the story. But because she was downgraded so much, I think they decided it was best for her to be on the sidelines for the finale. I hate to end this video like this. I usually try to end my videos optimistic, but with what the show did to Karai, I have no choice but to say she became a dumbass in distress. Yeah, she had her good moments, and it's not like she was an awful character, but she just became wasted potential. And seeing as we aren't getting any new TMNT 2012 continuations, I have to say this version of Karai won't get any form of resolution.
Wait a minute! Did you just forget about Season 5? What is wrong with you? Are you stupid?
Oh yeah, Season 5. She became the leader of the Foot Clan during the revival of the Shredder arc, and she appears once in a while to help out. But that's pretty much it. There's nothing really significant that happens to her. So, I guess my point still stands. So, let me know if you liked this video and want me to talk more about TMNT 2012. Like I said, this is my favorite version of the Turtles. So, roll credits.
Guess what? I just started making my own comic series. My first short just came out. Please go check it out. If I could summarize what Generation Defenders is about in 2 words, it would be stranger danger. I'm really excited about rebooting my original comics, and I hope you guys can go check it out.
But what about Goten Black?
It's still coming. I just want to do new things too. Don't worry. In fact, you can read the available pages on my Patreon right now, get behind-the-scenes commentary, and get updates on my new pages of Goten Black every Thursday. It's just $3 a month, and it'll help us get Goten Black out quicker. Think $3 is too much? That's okay, because Goten Black Chapter 6, Part 1 and 2 No Audio is now available on my channel membership for $1.99. We also have super things if you want to make a one-time donation, which will be shout out in our community tabs and in our next videos. Speaking of which, shout out to all my Patreon members. You guys are incredible. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to help support the Goten Black project. I can't believe we actually almost got to 2.5k subs. That's double from last year. Subscribe to help us get to 5k. Bye guys.